Hey everyone, happy Thanksgiving for those who are celebrating. I wish you all a very merry dinner tonight. Can everybody hear me okay?
Voices. I can hear you.
There we go, excellent, thank you. So Pappy is going to be missing out today. I'm doing the recording. I can't guarantee that my voice is going to record with this, but I have it set up so that it's saying that it will. I guess we'll find out after. It's going to be a pretty quick session this week. As you know, we got a couple of people missing because of the holiday. So Mine Original and I are just going to briefly give you an overview of what our new update with the Unreal Engine 5.1 is going to do for us and the project. And in the meantime, just because we don't have much content to stream in Unreal Engine, as both of our rigs are updating all the content for the project files, I'm just going to stream a random Blender file that has a bunch of stuff, and I'm just going to model as we talk. So if Mine Original doesn't mind taking over talking right now, I'm just going to play around.
If you guys want, we can wait for maybe minutes if anyone else wants to join. Otherwise, start.
What should I model today? Any suggestions? Panels, pipes. Yeah, let's make some cool pipes. While mine's waiting, I'll just explain to you guys what I'm doing. Inside Blender, I have pre-made assets that I made, I think last year is when I made this. And what this is geometry nodes collection that I use to create things like pipes. And if I remember how to use it properly, I actually haven't used this in a while. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. This is totally live and unscripted, guys. I'm figuring this out as I go. It's been a while since I've played on this. I think if I do this properly, I should be able to. No, that's not working. I get to the right.
Guys, if you have in mind like a hard idea for kinetic model, just do it if you want to make him feel uncomfortable. Now it's your chance. All right. Maybe we should start.
Take it away, Mine. It's all yours.
Okay. So again, welcome everyone. Hope you're having some great week. Okay, so as Kinetic said like some minutes ago, we started to update in Unreal Engine 5.1, which was released previous week at some point. Excuse me, let me do something quick. Okay. So right now, at the moment, we're also updating our project files to 5.1, which takes some time to compile shaders and also download the new version that Org did for us. So currently we're both working in Blender as we don't have Unreal Engine so far. So, what 5.1 has to bring to the game? Um, there were some really important updates for us, I think. Firstly, one of the most important ones was a visual update, which is at Lumen. Which now Lumen has uh, better lighting, less uh, noised shadows, and other than that, it has a very good feature that they added now was uh, reflections in translucent surfaces like glass windows, water, and stuff like that. Previously, if you remember, in the game, if you looked at surfaces like windows, for instance, uh, you were able to see that there was a very large blurry reflection of some light sources or something like that, which is now improved, and you actually get to see reflections of the surroundings, which is even better than the screen space method, which basically the screen space method only reflects what you have on your screen. That's why in many games you can see that at the edges of the screen the reflections start to fade out. Um, the Luminar version right now with reflections don't have that, and it even reflects stuff that are behind you, similar to what ray tracing does. Uh, so far, from what I've seen, it has some like frame drop, like 3 to 5 frames. We have to test it out, but obviously we will have option for the reflections, I guess. So in case that some systems are not able to handle that, but I don't think it's very heavy. Uh, other than the Lumen update with 5.1 was uh, Nanite, which now apparently Nanite works with foliage, and Nanite, for those who don't know, is an automatic load system, which will help increase the performance, which it does. Um, so far, you will be able to see um, that you wouldn't be able to see, like, that's the point of Nanite, but Nanite so far was working only for shapes like um, buildings and solid stuff like that inside the game, but it couldn't work with translucent surfaces and foliage. And foliage is something that takes some heavy amount of your system. Um, so hopefully now we would be able to have more vegetation or and have it. One example would be methods with the previous old system. Once you get really far from trees and stuff like that, that turn into single planes that have a texture. Um, but this is not the case with Nanite. You preserve the geometry, so right now you'll be able to have better visual quality and also have increased performance due to how Nanite works. So that's also a good thing now. Other stuff that were added that probably okay, they added many stuff, but I think one that maybe is in our interest is that um, Unreal Engine had a limit, not actual limit, but it had a suggested limit of words being around 22 square kilometers, if I remember correctly. Now they increased that to 80 million, which is stunning. And this means that it's gonna help us uh, make the words better, because right now we have more flexibility with that. And city roughly is if I remember correctly, the dimensions that we used for the city, as you can see, like the placeholders, stuff like that, they're around 3 by 3 kilometers, something like that. Somewhere around that figure. So it's a pretty large map, and that's only the city without any mountains around it. Okay, so that's what like the most important stuff that 5.1 has to offer us for now. Might find some stuff as we go, but we thought there were also some problems. First and main problem, which actually is the only one that we have right now, is that some plugins or some stuff that we were using are no longer compatible with the version we have. So we'll have to wait for them. One of them was NinjaFluid, which we were starting to implement. NinjaFluid has better water system, interactive, and creates waves and all this fancy stuff. So now it's not working, and also some other stuff. So we have to wait for them to work. That was pretty much what happened with 5.1. And as said, we're upgrading to that right now, and we recompile all the shaders and stuff like that to have everything working. I don't know if Kinetic wants to add something about that now.
No, I think you nailed it. There's a ton of new features in the 5.1 that a lot of us developers have been waiting for, including the compatibility with all the plugins, the Nanite, the Lumen. Using foliage has always been a big hindrance for a lot of game devs because it requires a lot of geometry and fairly complex shaders and materials. So now that they've allowed the nanite system to work with the foliage that is typically used in the landscape generation, it allows for two-sided texture streaming. So you can have transparency with a lumen asset, or sorry, a nanite asset, which is it's phenomenal because the amount of detail that you used to have in, say, a tree or a branch was like it would be a plane, or in other words, like a flat square with a special texture on it, and that texture would represent like the whole branch with 20 or 50 leaves, depending on the fidelity of the image. But now, because they were able to integrate the nanite technology with how foliage works in terms of how it acts to the wind. So there's natural actors that can flow and interact with the wind. It makes it so you can essentially have 10 or 20 polygons per leaf, and there are typically tens of thousands of leaves per tree with virtually no impact on performance. That sounds like a lot of convoluted words, but it's an amazing step in the right direction in terms of bringing realistic 3D worlds to life. And it I'm personally very excited about it. I just haven't really had a lot of time to play with it yet because it's still compiling right now. So switching the project files over is a bit of a time-consuming process, and we're all kind of doing it at the same time. So it's just a matter of getting everyone back on the same page and working with the same project files. Another thing is mine mentioned about the world, not world partition, but the area that we were allowed to use. It used to be, what was it, 21 million, or sorry, 21 kilometers, and now it's 8 million or something to that effect. It's massive. It's absolutely astonishing what they've been able to do, and it's gonna definitely make it easier for us to be able to expand our world as we develop it over the years. Because this is going to be like a lifelong project for a lot of us. It's going to continue to grow and develop as this dynamic atmosphere changes over time. And I'm sure I don't need to explain what that means. The NFT and the crypto space has changed so much just over the last 6 months. It's incredible from one thing to another. And we're in one of those niches that requires wide scale adaptation and continual development to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak.
Yeah. One thing to point out, Kinetic gave a good example about nanite and foliage and leaves and stuff like that. But I'd like to point out here that the trees we use in game, we didn't make them. To create it, it takes a lot of time. It's a hard process. So for some time, I guess we'll be seeing like probably more than a year. We'll be seeing creators that create foliage and stuff that still use the same method as now, that have um, one texture that has 10 leaves, and it would be a simple face. Uh, it will take some time, I guess, until we progress into creating more geometrized trees, let's say. So we won't have, for now at least, trees that have this matched geometry, but it will be still improved. It's gonna have what we believe a massive performance increase just by using that. Um, but we might find more detailed trees in the future. Who knows? Depends on who is creating that. But we also have in as a plan for the future to create our own trees, because not everything, but speaking of the Seisui forest, which probably is gonna be one in the world. I mean, it makes sense to be one. Um, then in that case, we probably have to create our own trees, because the ideas we have so far, let's not reveal too much stuff here, it's gonna be a unique tree with some unique properties. So yeah, that's about foliage so far. Um, Now, leaving Nanite aside, what we were doing this week, I guess, in plan that everyone kept doing their stuff, but some stuff we did was um, improve some details on the buildings in the downtown. And we did some stuff, at least to some buildings that were closer to the first playable area. And in some extent, we start thinking uh, what to do with the road network and how roads connect and stuff like that. But I guess maybe we'll leave this topic for the next stream probably, because uh, roads and road systems is is a huge topic. If you want to analyze, you can talk for it for hours, I guess, because um, it has like some technical difficulties, and not only that, it also has um, when we create a world, we want the world to be working like as if it was there in real life. So we want uh, all the roads to have some meaning. So it has some other stuff going on there, and we don't follow the exact same pattern as Hong Kong does. But I guess we'll talk about that in the next stream. So yeah, we have Kinetic working on some props and adding some missing touches. I'd say that most of the props are ready, and once we'll get our hands in the new version of Unreal, we'll start placing props, and props will fill the world greatly. I think they will change uh, lots of stuff, and the whole atmosphere of its area, and that would be great. I don't know if Kinetic wants to add something about that.
About the sorry, I was
Yeah,
kind of
the
distracted there.
props, the props. About the props and
The props
what's your
are like
props?
it's something that's going to be continuously added to, right? Like, so when you walk around in a game and you see things like shopping carts and barricades and like pylons, like all the little stuff that you typically just walk past when you're in the game, as redundant as it may seem, it's actually very important to have all those little details. And it's not like we just go to a shopping mall and buy all that stuff. We have to develop all that on our own. And this file that you're looking at right now is essentially what that is. And I just keep on adding stuff, like I could be playing a game like randomly and just all of a sudden come up with this idea, hey, this would be really good to have. Maybe I should incorporate that somehow into our game. And then all of a sudden now we have a couple of things that we didn't think of before, and it just grows from there. We have our main itinerary, which is to develop a specific art style, also guided by the layout and the design of the Hong Kong city skyline. But other than that, we still have quite a bit of creative freedom when it comes to building those assets. So it's really just like pooling from community members, seeing how uh, the kind of ideas and creative expressions we can gather, not only internally, but from the people of our community as well that have contributed their thoughts and their ideas, and then just working from there. Again, I'm just playing around in here right now. There's no real rhyme or reason why I'm doing any of this. I'm just playing around.
Yeah, so pretty much I guess one of the most important um, props we're gonna use and that will add a lot to the game is billboards. Billboards in Cyberpunk, yes. You can imagine yourself why it's important. All these lights and ads everywhere and stuff like that. I can't wait really to also get my hands on some of those props inside Unreal Engine and start placing around the world. Um, Other than the props, then I guess that's mainly what we've focused the last few days about, like, yeah, props, improving some buildings and thinking like how the streets will go and the whole road network system. Um, we've also been doing some additions to the Monkey base and Monkey Tower, I mean. And we try to add some detail there. So so far it goes well, which means that some areas that will be playable in the first version would be um, have started already um, looking like at a nice level, I'd say. So yeah, as far as playable area goes, we'll have props and summers already started, and it goes really well so far. Um,
It's coming
I do
along.
not.
It's a process. There's a lot of development that goes on. Like the layout of the roads, like you said, is a big one. But also how they connect with the sidewalks, any of the other playable areas that we plan on having open to the world. And our goal is to make as much of this city as open to explore as possible, without limiting the amount of memory we need to have available on your own computer. Because like anything that you're going to be able to see on your screen is basically going to have to be downloaded on your computer at first, until we've developed the some kind of pipeline for integrating assets that aren't native to the game. That means like eventually the possibility of having certain like avatars from other projects or certain buildings that aren't released with the Yaku game itself, but do have some kind of internal integration. So in order for us to be able to allow you to seamlessly transition between walking around inside the city and then going into like a partnership store without us having to pack up all the textures and geometry from that store into the game, we still have to develop that pipeline for allowing that to happen. And yeah, I'm sure that's the struggle that a lot of metaverse projects are working on right now behind the scenes.
Yeah. So at this point, I'd like to ask, what do you think? If you have guys any questions, we have some questions that we gathered. But if you have some questions, just go ahead and ask, and then we can move on that part, I guess. Any questions, like it could be, I don't know, about development or anything related to 3D stuff. Okay, so like I think Exorcist mentioned something about garage, but I didn't get a question there in the chat.
Oh, about having a garage set up. That's a good question. I think that might be something you'd be better to ask or to respond to. We talked about it lately in the last stream. It came up as a question whether we'll have parking areas, and it kind of falls under the same category as far as I understand it. But in terms of having a private garage to host all of your own assets, your own vehicles, like a Cha-Cha van and a bike, and perhaps some other um, partnerships that we can't really discuss openly yet. But yeah, there's definitely going to be areas for that. And I mean, if you have two Cha-Cha vans and one bike, you're not going to fit them all in your capsule. So that's still something we've yet to figure out in terms of how to park them in more of a public area and have them secure. But it's definitely something we're talking about behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think also regarding that, there was at some point I saw some question. I do not remember exactly, but um, about the mansion doors, because it has lots of room there, and what this area is going to be. So, and one question was if you would be able to add valuable stuff in your garage, so have two bikes or two cars, I don't know, whatever. So, uh, the thing is that we have a main layout in mind. Um, so the main area that you get in, I don't have right now. Lansing, it's gonna be hard to explain, but for those who remember, um, when you get in the grass, it's underground. It's under the mansion. Pretty much, there's like a secret door, hatch door, and it opens up, and you go through a narrow path there, and you enter the space. So as you enter on the left side, uh, you see that the left side has a wall that separates uh, almost in two areas. So one area would be, the idea is to be an esports room and have a lot of desks with computer there. And straight to the left, this area would have it would be some space for you, so you can have all your weaponry stored there. If you have some uh, armors and vests, whatever you have that's more military actions, it goes that way. It's gonna be on the left side, and on the right side, you would be able to pack the vehicles you have. So I think it can hold about 4 vehicles in there, depending on what you have. Uh, we don't have a plan yet if we will have like certain spots, um, like there are 3 slots and you can use them, or if you'll be able to just take your vehicles down the garage and just place them around. But you'll be able to hold some stuff there, and definitely it holds 4 vehicles, and including the spot that has the elevator that goes up. Or you could either possibly have more bikes. They have like 5, 6 bikes. You could fit them there. Um, yeah, that's about that question. Um, some other questions was let's see here. Okay, so one question was if we're gonna have any Easter eggs within the map. Uh, okay, so we're thinking of adding some stuff. We can't say right now what the stuff gonna be, otherwise there won't be Easter eggs. And we don't know where and when, but we have planned for that, some small little stuff. But yeah, I guess we won't be too much revealing about that either. At least not for now, but there are plans, yes. Okay, another question would be roughly how big is the first uh, alpha going to be? The first, I guess it refers to the first version of the playable game. So how big? I guess there are two options to answer that question. One would be in terms of size of the game, how much storage it consumes. So in that aspect, right now the game is around gigabytes when it's packed. Um, so if we add like all this buildings and stuff that you probably saw like in the previous stream that we had, and basically all the downtown, which is new assets in the game, that number is probably going to increase, and I guess it could go around 4 to 6 gigabytes. But that's a rough estimate. We'll have to back to be sure, but somewhere that I expect it might be lower, it might be higher. But I think around 4 to 6 sounds about right. Uh, so about now the size of the playable area. So what's gonna be playable is the capsules. No matter which one you have, it's gonna be um, the mansions if you have one. Of course, the Monkey Tower top, which at the first stage, I think if we've said that in previous stream, everyone's gonna be able to go there, no matter if they're Monkey holders, just to get feedback and feel around the area and how it works for you. And of course, it's gonna be the third gear area, which we're paid right now, which is gonna be around the Monkey Tower and maybe towards the side of the seesaw. And for now, for the first stage, um, downtown, all the skyscrapers and stuff like that, it's gonna be locked. So I'd say the playable area, at least around Fairpier, it's gonna be around half square kilometer. That's what I think it's gonna be pretty much. But probably on the next version we'll unlock some areas and go block by block and adding some details into that. But yeah, for the first wave of releases, it's gonna be about half square kilometer. Another question was, will towers have holes and floors like hotels, or is it open and teleport? Okay,
That's a question about like how much of an open world is it actually going to be? Like, can you transition seamlessly between walking on the streets to going all the way inside of a building and like visiting all the floors? I think that's what that question is about.
yep, that's also what I get from that. I want to answer that. I can answer. Focused. Okay, I'll go on with that. So at the current stage, we don't have always or main areas, open areas like inside the towers yet, and uh, pretty much in the playable area right now it's only the Monkey Towers. So no, it does not yet include any interior spaces. So the idea is that for now, you probably go in your capsule store or the elevator and just teleport to your room or wherever you want to go, on the top maybe or the bottom, whatever. Um, in the future, however, uh, we'll we'll probably add. I can't be 100% sure about that. We'll also have to see how this will work with the game and the whole system. Because here, at least for the Monkey Tower, and I guess for the other towers as well, um, there's also one technical aspect about capsules. So, as you might know, and if you don't, um, capsules spawn in different positions. So, place. And to add that in the Monkey Tower, we could either have a complete interior of the tower, which would be too much extra geometry, I guess. Unless there was a sort of thing loading another level, so you would need to pretty much teleport somehow, maybe in a smooth way, but you need to teleport. But that's at least for hallways. But adding some large rooms, like when you enter the building, or some mid floors, that would probably be something that we're able to do. And again, when you want to go into your capsule again, you will probably go in the elevator and just um, hopefully made a seamless transition there, going to your capsule, or you would like at least. But most likely it's gonna be delivered because when you enter the elevator and you exit it, you somehow have to go to your capsule. At least that's the plan, I think, and also that capsule having spawning in different positions, like a really unique system. At least to my knowledge, uh, I don't know any other project or game that does this. Have so many houses spawn in different positions. So pretty much we have to figure out our own way of doing that, because Monkey Tower I think has around 7,000 capsules. I don't remember the exact number, but it's pretty high. It's more than 2,000, definitely more than 2,000. So it's really challenging to have a system that connects all those together. But yeah, to recap, it will probably have some main areas, um, like the entrance and some mid floors, and in some cases, possibly in other buildings. I don't see that happening in the near future in Monkey Tower, but in some other buildings we may have hallways as well. I don't know if Kinetic wants to add something on this.
There's a lot
If
of
I've got something to cover.
there's going to be a lot to consider with that, because with every partner tower we have, we also have all the capsules and penthouses that are associated with them, and to have it so that if you were just say a member of the public and walking around downtown, and your game, your PC was rendering how games typically render, you would have to have all of the assets and all the properties that are inside each individual capsule rendering on your PC at the same time. And that's like an extremely heavy computational task, even with today's modern technology, to be maxed right out. Like it's just it's unfeasible to want to have to do that. So ideally, there would be like a form of instancing enabled so that it would essentially make it so that you're only rendering what you're going to have access to, for one, and two, what's only closest to you. There's a few different ways that the project can be developed to allow that to happen, and we're still kind of bridging the technologies that have yet to be incorporated into the project. In other words, we haven't figured out the most efficient way to make that happen while allowing the widest variety of user cases to play the game. So even though we have Nanite and Lumen and all this amazing technology from Unreal available, that doesn't mean that everyone out there is going to have the same level of capability in terms of hardware to run the game. So we've got to kind of make it capable of being played on basically the most potato of PCs in order for it to be available to the widest demographic and any member of the community for that matter as well. Being such a diverse having such a diverse capability means more wide scale adoption and more people playing the game. We need more eyes on it. We need more people playing it. We want more people to see how awesome this place can be. I mean, this is it's a pretty momentous project, and we're not the only ones doing it. And I think what makes us stand out on top of other projects in this case is how we're going to ultimately deliver that capability of having all these different capsules available inside the game and make it as seamless as possible for anyone to be able to render it without worrying about that kind of hardware um, issue, like going from one type of computer to another. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm anxious to see how it turns out.
I just went in the chat. I see comment here from Exorcist says, would be nice to showcase some of our favorite avatars inside our mansion. Yes, probably that, at least in the mansion. So far, one area could be, again, in the garage when you enter on your left side, in a wall there. But I guess that would be more for military stuff than for normal avatars and stuff. The way you go up into your second floor in the mansion, on your right side is the bedroom and straight ahead is the bathroom. So on the left side there is some empty space that could be utilized this way and have some outdoors stand there. And there's also another area that um, right when you exit your house from the living room area and you want to go to the swimming pool. So there is a point there near the staircase that you can see there's a flat metal surface that stops from the road. So there's an area there that is able to host some avatars, obviously. So that would also be a nice area to host some avatars of yours. Another thing here I see is someday from Woolboy, someday I wish the capsules end up being as customizable as like the Sims. Okay, so as the Sims, I don't know, like adding walls and stuff like that, it's gonna be hard. Um, but one plan we have is that when you get your capsules or your mansions or future houses, you're gonna get it probably with some uh, default layout with some furniture there. So the plan is in the future to create more furniture, and you'll be able to buy them and place them inside your house. Probably as in survival games, that's one way of placing objects, like you don't rotate the objects and stuff like that. So that's one plan we have for the future for customization in terms of how the house goes. I don't know yet if we're going to add like the ability to change materials on walls and make one wall black or from stone and stuff like that. Uh, so far, at least for the houses we have, this is not a, this is, not, this is, 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 these pool tables in this SAC tower, will these be playable over time?
I hope so.
Yeah, we hope so. It would be great to have uh, a playable pool table. It would be nice.
So there's
Although
a
I
few
guess
things, if you don't mind me, if you don't mind me jumping in real quick.
go
There's
ahead.
a few things to consider with these pool tables. If we have them open to the world so anybody can walk up and play them, that's possible. We simply have to apply physics to all of the balls, put holes in the table, and give you some way to push them around and give certain properties to the bumpers to allow them to bounce around, etc. But the thing is when we make it open to the entire world, that allows people to just randomly come up to you as you're playing and knock your balls off the table. And that just causes a big pain in the ass, right? So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of different metrics to include when it comes to building that kind of accessibility and wide scale availability to like a game like that, as opposed to we can have the tables there as a prop, and if you want to play it, we instance into it and basically turn the pool game into a new level. And as you say have tournaments or whatever, when you're playing a level, that's essentially all that's rendering inside your game at once. But there's a few different ways we can do it. I'm probably not the best person to be telling you about how it might or might not work, but just to give you an idea of what's on our minds when we see stuff like this is how do we make it so that it's essentially limited in terms of what kind of things can go wrong.
Yeah, in terms of that, like if you it's like GTA has a cool system for that. So pretty much once you go to the pool table, I guess we can make a system that no one else is able to interact with you, so they can just see you stand there and doing your stuff. But I think like making a pool would be challenging. It's just to give weight to the balls would be first step, but then if you add all those physics, it would be a great experience, I think. But it's hard to do. Uh, as a basic as a basic game that you can just go and have fun, I guess it would be very interesting, very amazing to have playable pool tables. And I guess there was in conversation at some point that you would also be able to get some stuff like that in your house, as you have with the capsule. You see, there's an arcade game, and we were having thoughts of adding a pool table inside the mansion somewhere. But it's probably not gonna come with a default version. You're gonna have to buy it using Yaku's, I guess. Also, Exorcist Net says that staircase looks amazing. I don't know where he refers to. I didn't saw any staircase. Um, yeah, you have a comment there. Um, do you guys have any questions so far from what we discussing here? Also, if you don't want to speak or you can't for some reason you have questions, just go in the general chat and leave your question there. Okay, so one question elsewhere. What do we have here? So we had one question. What's the next read challenge? So I guess we won't say something about that now. Probably. I guess I don't know if it's a good idea. Uh, I mean to say something about the challenge. We have something in mind. We just want to organize it a bit better. Um, maybe we could just discuss like thoughts of the of how what the challenge is gonna be if you guys want to.
Do we want to discuss slightly maybe
Oh
the
wait,
idea?
we have something
We
more important. Sorry to interrupt. There's here. Uh, maybe it's nice to introduce Manses.
yes, the glorious Manches. Is he in the chat today? I don't see him in there.
I don't see him.
So, for those of you who don't know or who have been living under a rock, Manches is the 3D artist behind the Cha Cha Vans, and he's reached out and started to essentially work with us now, helping us develop our city and integrate new character technologies. Yeah, it's such a awesome thing to have more talent join the pool. It's something that we definitely don't shy away from. And as you guys have all known for a while now, we've been looking to hire more developers and artists for quite some time now. And we didn't have to look very far because Manchez was there waiting for us. And it was perfect.
Yeah, at some point we might be able to get him here. I don't know when that will be, but it would be nice to have him in a stream here with us, so you can ask him any questions you want. Uh, Francis is great. He's amazing. As Kinetic said, he's gonna help us, and he's helping us with the characters, integrating them, and it's also gonna help us with the bike. So I guess that's great news to have someone be able to work with that and understand what he does. Because pretty much me and Kinetic are do other stuff and not like building vehicles, and I mean the vehicles is rigged, but not making vehicle systems. So it's really nice to have him work with us.
The workload basically, having it spread out between more people, it makes it so that the progress curve continues growing instead of shrinking, if anything. Just to put things into perspective there.
Before we interrupt, you were about to say something. I said like about 3D challenge if we.
Okay, so we've been open to trying to involve the community as much as we can with the development of this game, because a lot of the purpose behind building the Yakuverse is it's for the people. I don't want to start like a revolution or something saying like that. Don't take that out of context, please. But trying to open up the creative expression that is needed to develop something that's new and original to so many different people is to make it available to everyone. So we've been discussing kind of in the background for the last little while now. How do we involve the community more in in the actual 3D space that is of the Yakuverse? And we've kind of put a little bit of an idea together where we would host like an art competition or some kind of I don't know, mine help me out here. Bit of a loss for words, but essentially the idea is to open the doors to creative enthusiasts out there who have a background in building 3D models or sculptures or anything in the creative realm, and we would give them the opportunity to present their work inside the Yakuverse in a specified area. So we could end up developing what would essentially be like a giant art museum or something to that effect, or maybe even an area uh, of like the open world where people that would just be walking down the street would see it, and this is like a monument in a sense, not necessarily a monument because it has the potential to change. Like we could do it weekly, monthly, to be a new one. And with that, because it's in a 3D space, much like in a game, as you walk up to it, we would have like a plaque or some kind of writing or a hologram that describes who the individual was, what their uh, inspiration was, when it was submitted, et cetera, and even hyperlink to like their ArtStation portfolio or something outside as a means to get the creative community more exposed, especially those who have adopted the Yakuverse as a part of their life. And one of the suggestions that mine had was, why don't we run the first 3D art competition for objects that would sit on a helicopter pad? And maybe mine can finish the conversation from there.
Yep. So pretty much the idea is that, as Kinetic said, to have the community to feel more connected with the game or feel that they're part of this and to get them closer together and stuff like that. So the idea we have and we've been working right now is, at least for the first step, we don't know again when this is going to happen, but I'm sure we'll get a notification somewhere or an update, an announcement, something like that. But the idea is for the first steps here to host like a challenge that it's gonna be probably 3D challenge. At some point, it could be something else. It could be just because not all people are 3D artists, but they do other stuff. And host the challenge like for now that it's gonna be a 3D model that um, it's gonna be sitting on the market our helipad for now for display, so people can go up and see this. Um, the idea so far is that these models will just be for display and you won't be able to use them, um, which makes sense in a way. We're not trying to get free content out from this, so yeah, so people will be able to go there and see. I mean, the winner's model obviously gonna be in display there, and people just when playing players gonna go and see who made the model, just gonna inspect the model, see how it looks from outside and stuff like that, and obviously have a link to the guys or whoever made the model, like have a link to his portfolio or something like that, so people can go check out his art.
Yeah,
And
get them exposure. Sometimes all it takes is one of the right people to see it, and then all of a sudden your work is well known, and your life can change from that.
yeah,
Having it available in the game though, like part of the legal thing that we were discussing, and you touched on that earlier, was making it so that any submissions that we get, we have to clear through like a CC0 or Creative Commons licensing. Otherwise, we won't be able to publish it in the game for the world to see. So that's just part of the legal requirement of us being able to do something like this. But I don't know if it was even necessary, but touching on the idea that we would be using these assets to build the game that's not what we were getting to. It's a way to allow other people who have a 3D background to contribute their essentially like their artistic voice to the world. And as we grow in popularity, it means that this could end up being an idea to leverage this platform as a means to get your name out there. So competitions like this could end up potentially being fairly well known over time. At least that's the thought. It's the idea that kind of sparked the conversation in the beginning.
yeah, it's the whole idea is like what's the Yaku is gonna be. It's gonna be something that people are gonna be able to replicate some stuff from the real world. Let's put it that way. So think of it as how it's in our station that everyone go and post his art and everyone's able to see that and stuff like that. But inside Jaguars, and obviously at least the first point, it's gonna be hard. Like if a lot of people just wanna throw their stuff in there, at least for the limited space we have now. So we thought the idea of doing it through contests and the or winners, depending on theirs, we're gonna use for that have enough space for them to display their models. And one idea we had about that is what happens. Okay, you make one contest now. You have one winner that sits on the top of the helipad, and you make one and you have some exhibition area at the ferry pier or something like that. What happens when more models are gonna come in? So the new models gonna have to take the place of those the previous winners' objects. And the idea is to have near the monkey tower there's a flat uh, area that we want eventually to create a museum there. It's gonna be like the Art of Community Museum, and all the previous creations um, of winners are gonna be displayed there in the museum. So hopefully in the future, everyone's gonna be able to get in the museum and see what people created. And we could also use some creative ways at like uh, giving the name of winners like to the I don't know as industries or whatever. Figure that out. But it would be nice, and there's also some talk. I don't know if we do that, but um, if you, I don't know if you've seen this. Probably you have the sidewalk in Hollywood which has the stars and
The,
names of actors.
the Hollywood Squares, yeah.
Yeah. So one idea would be to have something similar to the museum and have some plates there in a wall with the names of those people that had their models displayed. It would be cool to have that. But so far that's been worked on as a thought, and that's the idea at least.
Yeah, and when we talk about this stuff, it's really we're being transparent with some of the ideas we have in the background. We haven't necessarily pushed this out into a pipeline of like workflow yet. It's just brainstorming more or less, and it came to the idea, and now we're at the point where like we should pull the trigger on this and make this really happen because I think it's a good idea and it's got some pretty good potential for adoption, and it gives the ability for people to really feel like they've got a part inside this game themselves.
Yeah, and also Exorcist said this Hong Kong has like this Walk of Fame that we created in some way. So I guess I answered that. I guess that's something similar to that. Yeah, I mentioned them. Um, yeah, almost an hour here. If you guys have any questions, if we could add.
Yeah, we don't have Pappy here to keep us in line, so we kind of went way over our
Yeah,
budget
we need someone to keep the flow.
to keep the flow going. Yeah. So, as for next week, we're looking at giving you guys some insight on something that I'm sure most of you have been waiting for, but we're not going to tell you anything because anything can happen between now and then. But just keep your DMs open, or sorry, I don't mean DMs, but keep your eyes peeled and wait for the announcement from next week. It'll be exciting.
Also, one question here from Exorcist. Weather conditions will change the streets look. I guess, I mean, like if it's raining, it's gonna be all wet and stuff like that. So, yeah, so far this is a feature. We have that in game, yes. Probably we didn't showcase any of that. Maybe we could in the next streaming. Yeah, so far it affects the wetness. Not the snow yet. I don't know how many times a year it's gonna be snow in Hong Kong, but there is this option, but I haven't managed to create that material yet. I mean to figure out how this is gonna work. But the rain is there and it forms puddles. Like it has this feature that when it starts to rain, wet the the surface of the roads slowly starts to get wet and form puddles. And when it stops, then same way, excuse me, it fades. It fades away. The water goes away. It becomes like dry again. It doesn't have any effect though yet on grip or something like that for the vehicles. I guess that's
No, there's nothing really that there's comes as a pre-made package. It's something we're going to implement later on. It's just we haven't. We're not planning on releasing that kind of fidelity in the first release, the alpha release that we expect in the next few weeks. Right now, it's just getting the very beginning part out. And again, like that's one of the smaller details that adds to the overall quality of it. I don't want to take away from the importance of that kind of stuff, but it's just we have to kind of compartmentalize the production pipeline so that we can actually manage an executable release date. Because as we come up, we come up with this new version, for instance, and it's already put us back a day or two because we have to update everything, and there's the dynamics that you don't expect, but we anticipate by lengthening out that I don't want to use the term roadmap, but um, the expected release time that we have allotted ourselves. So as we come up with these new versions of things that we want to implement, we have to either decide, are we going to include this with this new release, or will we table it for the next one? And that's just one of those things that we know we plan on doing it. We just haven't got to that point yet. Got to kind of diversify the workload a little bit.
And just to be clear that so that nothing is pre-made. Again, nothing is pre-made. I guess you're specifically talking here for the surface changing and the grip and stuff when it's wet. That weather thing with the paddles and stuff, it was almost preset. It came with a weather plugin in Unreal Engine, but you still have to make some changes to the material blueprints and node systems to see how they work, and also to adjust, because I've had to adjust many materials on how much is the full wetness, because pretty much the full wetness goes like, if it was complete water, it goes full reflective. It doesn't feel very realistic, so I have also made changes just to the materials so far. One thing that we'd also like to create is that objects that are underneath other surfaces don't get wet. We'll still have to work that out. It doesn't work yet, but it's nice to have at least the raw systems and stuff and surfaces changing according to weather. It's not done automatically. You have to go in its material and do it separately. And there is also a challenge here with some materials that if you have a material interior wise, that you have it in exterior as well, whenever it rains, it's gonna get wet. So it's a little complicated sometimes. I see Exorcist is typing here, so get another question.
Yeah, I think we're gonna call her a day for now, guys. The stream will be ending right away unless you have an immediate question. I have to get back to.
Yeah, we have one question, so let's close that question. Okay, so already have an idea how you will do the timing of night and day. It's like 12 hours night, 12 hours day, or you make sort of so people different time zones get night and day, like 4 hours and 4 hours. Okay, so so far what we have in game is synced with Hong Kong, like real time and real weather, real time weather and real time time. I guess we should, because this lasts way too long. I guess at some point we would have the ability or system, I don't know, so people can change that if they want. Because if you're in some other part of, I don't know, of the world, when you have time to play, it's gonna always be night or always day. Then probably we have to change, to have the ability to change that instead of using always real time, real weather. At least not for the weather, but the times probably needed. So I guess the hours for day and night is going using yes, the weather is reflected from Hong Kong. How many hours is day and how many hours is night? I guess that right now it's based in what Hong Kong does. I'm not exactly sure, but there are parameters that you can change, and usually it's not 50% day, 50% night. It's around 60-40. So I guess we try to make it the most realistic way we can.
I stick up for myself and my future,
And
cause
yeah,
I
we
just
probably
want all of this greatness,
use
cause I'm a champion and I'm the one that is really
the
gonna
option to
make it.
have
I'm a champion.
time at least to have different cycle, because obviously I guess many people want to play also day and night and not always have to play on what time is in Hong Kong. I don't know if Kinet has anything else to add about that. I guess he doesn't. So
I don't really have much to add to that other than like if it's real world or real time Hong Kong weather, then it's going to have to be real time Hong Kong time too. That's really all I can say about that.
yeah, we should add an option like it's as is with flight sims, I guess, because you have the option to have real time and also change the time to whatever it suits you. Because again, as mentioned, I don't know if you heard that in your way says something before. If you're like in Europe and or something or different continent, you have to always play at the same time, always day or always midday and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess that was it for today. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in and making questions. Um, and I guess we'll see you on the next streaming. And also, yes, have happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, thanks for joining us again today, guys. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you guys again next week. And I'll see a couple of you in chat later. Maybe I'll drop some more profile pictures. We'll see.
Yeah, guys.